Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're at in the world, and welcome to the show, Proof of Work. I am your host, Jerry Avada, aka the Crypto Oracle. You can catch me on X most of the time. I'm there. That's my social media feed of choice at GER313, and you can get some of the greatest insight, I would say, into the Bitcoin and crypto community. Today's episode is Stack Sats, not cents. But before we get into that, we want to thank all of our sponsors. First, we want to start with Quantum Expeditions. Quantum Expeditions is taking stranded energy in Texas, i.e., methane flare, and converting it into Bitcoin. Eventually, they would like to get into wind, solar, and any stranded energy that is out there. If they could get their hands on it, they want to convert it into Bitcoin. We've discussed this many times on the show that, and this is my own quote: Bitcoin is an energy manipulator that seeks the cheapest energy source out there, and AI does the opposite. It is a energy hog. So as back in the day when people used to say that about Bitcoin because they didn't fully understand it, AI is the exact opposite. It keeps chugging resources ad infinitum, and Bitcoin seeks out the cheapest stranded and or wasted energy out there. We also would like to thank our sponsors at Shieldfolio. If you're not familiar with Shieldfolio, what they do is they have a secret seed phrase book that can only be read with a UV light. So if you write your seed phrase, it's written in this basically a UV marker, and only the words can be revealed when you shine it under a UV light. It's also waterproof, and they are working on one that will be fireproof in the near future. You can get a 20% discount using our Bitcoin Live 20 code, or you can just scan the QR code right there. We also want to thank the team at Deorganized Media and everyone who has a show at Bitcoin Live. Thank you so much to everyone here and to my producer, Nick. He's not feeling too great today, so everyone keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Let's get into it. Stack sats, not cents. And why is this? With the elimination of the penny, and again, as most people know, I'm not a Trump supporter, but I do not have TDS either. I am a person of logic and reason. And President Trump, one of the things that I applaud him for doing is the removal of the penny from our arsenal of hard currencies. The penny is a scam, right? Like, paper money was a great technology for what is it, almost 1100 years or something, like 800 plus years. I forget how long it's been around. Some history books say 800, some say over 1,000, but it's somewhere in there. It's ancient technology, and all it does is fractionalize your money, right? So you take a dollar. Well, it used to be a dollar. Let's use a $5 because you can't buy anything at the dollar store for $1 anymore, right? Let's just say $5. You take your $5, you go buy something at the dollar store, convenience store, or whatever retail store you're at, and then they give you some change, right? So they take that $5 and then they break it down to a smaller denomination of like a couple of bills, and then Federal Reserve shit coins, right? Pardon my French, but that's what they are. And Bitcoin does the exact opposite. This is one of the features of Bitcoin that I tell people is so amazing, and most technologists, analysts don't ever point out. Satoshis and Bitcoin doesn't fractionalize your savings, right? If you buy something, you're paying exactly the amount to the 16th decimal point in some scenarios, right? And there's no leftovers, right? You have more Bitcoin or you have less Bitcoin. You don't uh, fractionalize your savings into this other type of money that, as we all know, since the 80s, there's no vending machines to take pennies, nickels, dimes, right? Or even in most cases, 50-cent pieces. It's just quarters. And in some cases, in certain jurisdictions in the United States, it's maybe dollar coins, right? They might take those, Sacagaweas, as they're called. But before we get into more of Stack Sats nonsense, I wanted to get into the World Cup a little bit, and just so everyone realizes, when I visited Europe, and I don't know if Nick is aware of this, I visited the Netherlands and France. I traveled from Paris to the Netherlands in 1999. And I remember the first time that I went to Europe, I've only been to Europe, that trip right there. I remember turning on the news and noticing that it was very different perspective, right? Fast forward 20 some years later, like 20, almost 30 years into the future. And now we can see kind of the opposite thing happen, where Europeans are getting this vision of America, like, oh, they see Portland, or they see craziness happen in Minneapolis, or Miami, or whatever, or wildfires in Oregon or California, and they think like, America is like two minutes away from destruction. And that's far from the case, because we all know that there's a lot of sensationalism in the media. But anyway, enough of me rambling on. This is a French guy who is in Texas to catch some World Cup matches, and he just got done eating some barbecue, and this is his take on America. Roll clip.
Mesdames et messieurs, we need to talk about l'Amérique. As French, we need to stop saying Vive la France and start saying Vive l'Amérique. This place is incroyable. C'est incroyable. I just had Texas barbecue for the first time in my life. Poof. Better than any moment in my life. And I am married and have 2 kids. Oh, but in France you have des crêpes, les petits pains au chocolat, les croissants. No, I give my left croissant for a Texas brisket. Don't even get me started on Costco. Costco is bigger than my village where I live. Whatever you want at Costco, it's there. You just show up and you could buy your whole life there. We need to start a revolution just to get Costco in France. I will be the first one to say I will start a revolution to get a Costco. Les Italians, les Italians, I'm sorry, but ranch makes pizza better than anything I've ever tasted. When you go to a restaurant, you leave a tip. It's because they're so nice. But my waitress, she came over and talked to us like we had known each other for years. It was like she wanted to be my best friend. And at the end, I felt stupid not to leave a tip. In France, they want to take off the tip of my head. Speaking about how nice and friendly these Americans are, I think in France, I can count on one hand how many people have smiled at me. Just normally, just smile, I think my mother has smiled at me twice. Here, just going down the street, everybody says hi. Like, what do you want? What do you mean hi? What do you mean bonjour? Oh, hi. This is a normal road in America, and this is bigger than the Champs-Élysées. This car right here is called a Waymo. Waymo? C'est ça? Yeah, Waymo. And for the longest time I wondered why it was called a Waymo. It is because America has way more than the rest of the world.
Oh my gosh. And this isn't the only one. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of these videos going around TikTok, X, Insta, etc. of all these foreign nationals coming to America. I mean, you've probably seen some of the videos of the Tartan Army going around Boston, right, taking over Boston. And this is great stuff, right? This is great for America that people are seeing America in a whole new light, right? And this is not only opening foreign nationals' eyes to the amazing things that America has to offer, from our scenery to our food to our culture, etc. It's opening Americans' eyes, right? If you didn't see the Dave Portnoy video, and Dave's not a soccer fan at all, but he's getting caught up in the FIFA hype. And that's what most Americans don't get, that, 80% of the world, this is their sport, right? FIFA soccer is some of the most amazing. I prefer UEFA Cup personally. That's just me, over FIFA, but I love World Cup matches. I caught almost every one that I could this week. And I'm a numbers guy, right? I say that a lot, and most people are like, the people that know me, you're like, yes, he's very good with statistics and numbers. The other day on June 15th, I was like, I saw an anomaly as a guy who sees patterns and everything, right? I've been a drummer since I was like 3 years old, so I see patterns in things that sometimes people just don't see. And that's why, as a data analyst, I prefer raw data, because sometimes you can see patterns that just pop out, right? They just stand out. And this is one of those patterns. So on Monday, I'm at work and we're talking about FIFA World Cup stuff. And I'm like, wait a second, another tie? There was 3 ties. Nice. That's going to be a great match. I love watching Holland. And Sweden's match was really good. So I think that one's going to be really fun time. Oh shoot, where was I going? I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so on June 15th, there's 4 matches that day. There's already 3 ties. We've already been played 15 matches, and there were 7 ties already. I'm like, whoa, this is a statistical anomaly, right? When I see things like this. So the next day, that match ended, and I think it was Spain tied Curacao, right? It's like, so 4 ties on one day. The next day, I was in work. I was like, there's no way that this has either happened. This is the first time this happened, or this has happened maybe 1 or 2 times ever in the history of World Cup soccer. So I pull up Grok. I'm like, Grok, there was 4 ties on June 15th. In the World Cup. When was the last time that's ever happened? And Grok was like, it's only happened 1 other time. June 15th, 1958. I was like, what? And I was like, okay, who won the World Cup that year? It was the first time Brazil won, and Pele's introduction to the World Cup. So when I say that this World Cup is going to be one of the craziest World Cups, it is. Anyway, we talk about enough World Cup stuff. I could talk about it for another probably 30 minutes or so. But I just found it fascinating that there was 4 ties on the same day, almost 70 years apart. That's insane. But anyway, back to the show. And this is for the whole world, right? Let's be very clear. This isn't not just Americans to stack sats. I want Africans, Africa's figuring this out, which is good, but I want Africans who don't understand this to figure this out. I want people in New Zealand, Australia, South America, all over the globe, right? You need to start stacking satoshis, right? I made that video a few years back. I think it was 2024 I made it. Why it's imperative that you start to do this, right? You start treating satoshis, whether you have a couple hundred or a couple thousand, or you have a couple Bitcoin. This should be your new savings vehicle, right? And I warned about stable coins back then, and you should be fully aware that as of the incident that happened with Iran just a few weeks back, right? When I said that this whole war is not just about the Strait of Hormuz. And that's perfect segue to go into that. But before we do, I want to pull up that clip, and I'll send that to Nick in a second. Um, but yeah, this war was more about uh, the money, right, behind the scenes than oil, right? If you understand the petrodollar, right, I said, don't be surprised if this is, a move to protect the dollar for another 5 to 10 years, because BRICS nations have been attacking the dollar in multiple ways, and not just the BRICS nations, right? China, Russia have their own asymmetrical warfare that they've been using against us for a long time. But if you did some just basic research, you could see that this is not a stretch, right? Right after I said that, about a week after I said this, and people were like, "You're nuts. This isn't crypto related." Oh, really? That's funny, because we seized close to $500 million worth of tether on the Tron network from Iran, and some Bitcoin was not confiscated, right? When everyone says it's Bitcoin, no. It wasn't Bitcoin. This is why satoshis are superior to dollar coins, right? There's multiple dollar coins, from Paxos to BNB's dollar coin to Tether, depending on the network, right? What that it's running on. These are not private transactions. These are transactions that can be censored, right? And this is why Bitcoin and other proof of work coins like Litecoin and Monero and others are superior assets to Tether and USDC. The big story of the week, which nobody's talking about because we're all caught up in World Cup mania, is that the EU announced yesterday that they are telling all of the crypto exchanges in Europe, you need to, if you don't have a license, a MiCA license, you have to shut down. And two, you can no longer use Tether. You have to use USDC. So USDC, like I've stated many times, they're going to play ball and be compliant. And Tether is like, no, we want to be more like Bitcoin. And I get that. And I respect that from Ardino and the Tether team there. And that makes me like, if I'm looking at stable coins for choices of stable coins, yeah, there's the big announcement. EU delists Tether's 175 billion USDT from licensed exchanges. But yeah, it's like kind of like a reverse indicator. Like, yes, USDC will be more legally compliable, but Tether seems like they want to be more like a freedom money, right? They want to be more like Bitcoin, and that just take that how you'll take that. But yes, Tether's 344 million freeze linked to U.S. economic fury against Iran regime, right? This isn't a stretch now. And then we see just last week, we're signing a peace deal. And oh yeah, and that's the thing I wanted to send Nick, is this is the first time in 2 or 3 months that we can see from satellite imagery that the Strait of Hormuz is almost back to normal traffic. And let me see if I can pull that up. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I just found it. Yeah, so if you could pull up that little infographic for us, Nick, it's very telling. Somebody wants to make a guest appearance. There you go. Thank you for the kisses, buddy. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah. Did you get that? It should be, yeah, perfect. But yeah, just look at that picture. We can see all of these red ships that are out waiting to be loaded, mostly for oil, right? Obviously. And then we can see all these green ships then pulling out. So we are starting to see traffic normalize in the Strait of Hormuz. And this is a huge positive boon for the global economy. As we stated on the show, even though I know there was many people that unfortunately have lost their lives, property damage, etc., from all the bombings, whether they're drones or strategic sorties of from military operations. I still felt that this seemed like it was a bigger theatrical production than it needed to be. And as we can see from this infographic, it looks like things are starting to normalize, which is good. I have another one. This is from Ray Dalio. And oh, it's funny. Ray Dalio just a few years ago was saying, you know, him and his cronies were saying, if you were going to allocate to Bitcoin like 1 to 3%, oh, what's he saying now? 15%. Oh, that's a huge jump from 3. That's a 5x on what they were recommending just a year or two ago, right? Now you have one of the smartest investors in the world saying you should have 15% of your money in Bitcoin. I would concur with this. I would say it should be higher. I would say it should be closer to 25 to 50%. That's just me. But that's the way I feel about it. It should be closer to 50% of your holdings. And why is that? Again, I know there's a lot of people out there that are hesitant to save in Bitcoin. This isn't the time to be hesitant anymore, right? There's too many applications, too many companies out there willing to give you free Bitcoin, right? Whether it's let me see. I haven't used them in a long time, but let me see. I can't find it. Can't find it. Oh, shoot. I'm trying to think. Whether it's Fold or there's another company out there that's very similar to Fold. I just forgot their name because I haven't used them in like 6 or 7 months, maybe a year or so. Whether it's Fold, it's that new one I just saw last week I shared about the receipts, and you said, I guess somebody had a show about them where you take your old receipts and you scan them and they give you Bitcoin, right? So they're getting something out of this process, right? It is a proof of work. And this is another reason that, you know, Bitcoin is far superior as a money than any other asset out there, right? I posted this up probably, I want to say 5 days ago. Satoshi reinvented paper, right? Think about that for a second. He reinvented paper, right? As we said earlier, paper money is like around somewhere that they think around 1,000 years old, right? Close to 1,000 years old. And so Satoshi knew that this ancient technology that we've relied on for so long was doing the opposite effect for people like me and you, right? If you're, you know, it's called the Cantillon effect. If you are part of the central banking system, right? When they print new money, the people that are closest to the Federal Reserve banks and the products and services that they greenlight, those get the most money. And what products and services are those? Those are mortgage companies and builders and contractors and Home Depots, right? And new Home Depots, right? That's who gets all the money first, right? And here's a good explanation from the Adam Smith Institute. If you're not familiar with economics, I highly recommending reading some Adam Smith. As someone who has a degree in political science, I not only had to read a lot of political thought in college, I had to read a lot of economic theory as well. But this breaks the Cantillon effect, right? When, you know, they want to print more money and mess the rates. Well, guess what? Bitcoin's never going to do that. Bitcoin's never going to come out and said, I'm printing 21 million more Bitcoin. No. Bitcoin's never going to come out and say, I'm tweaking the rates today. No, the only thing that's going to change in Bitcoin is the difficulty adjustment, right? And then that goes up or down, and it automatically does that every 2 weeks. what people don't seem to understand, I think one of the biggest things people don't understand about Bitcoin, it is AI. It is a form of artificial intelligence, right? Is it an artificially intelligent ecosystem, right? When power goes up too high and the block times are clicking along, well, the difficulty rate goes up, right? And it sees that. And if it's the opposite, difficulty rate goes down, and it adjusts accordingly, right? It's never gonna, like I said, come out of the blue and say it's minted new coins or it's tweaking the rates. It can't do that. And this is why it's so superior to save in satoshis, because satoshis will be around forever. Let me just give you a perfect example. This is awesome too. I like this right here. Let me give you a perfect example of why satoshis are superior to cents and dollars in it. Such a succinct example, right? The first satoshis I ever got on a phone, and I think it's this phone here, and I think I moved the wallet finally to a more contemporary device, because that phone's like, it's not falling apart yet, but it's about to in another couple of years. But the first satoshis I got was from like a Satoshi dice game, right? Where you rolled the dice, you guessed the number. If you're right, they gave you some sats. They gave you some satoshis, right? And then you got to X amount of satoshis. They're like, you can withdraw those from your wallet and send them to your own wallet. So on December 24th, or it's actually a couple of weeks, like probably a couple of months before that, I processed their transaction. I think it was like 3 to 4 weeks before that. I told them I wanted to send those sats to my blockchain.com wallet, and they're like, okay, we're on it. We'll process their transaction. This could take some time. Be patient. I was like, no problem. December 24th, I think it was like 2016 or 17. Boop. The sats show up in my wallet, right? And I think it's like 0.000123342. Not a ton of sats, right? The biggest scam of this whole thing was that Bitcoin was, so high at that point. The fees were huge. So the amount they took in fees, was like thousands of dollars now. Think about that, right? But over that pump from 16 to like 18, and then into the hundreds and 20s just a few years ago, I still have 0.000123342 in that wallet. If this was a bank account, that was like almost 10 years ago, right? If this was a bank account, I'd have like negative like $800. Do you see where I'm going? So my amount of satoshis remained the same, right? No fees, no surcharges, no overdraft fees, right? None of that crap. And we fast forward 10 years, and that teeny little sliver of Bitcoin that was like less than a few dollars in 2017, 2018 is now worth like $20, right? And if that was a bank account, it would be negative several, probably $100, if not several, like $1,000, because once you get below zero, they just keep dinging you and dinging you and dinging you. Oh, this fee, this maintenance fee, this, that, they just keep hammering you. And this is why the banks are starting to realize that this transition into a crypto economy is the Trojan horse, right? Like they just got conned into letting the Trojan Bitcoin horse come into Wall Street. And now they're like, oh, ish, we're going to lose all our customers. Hashtag duh, y'all are slow. The fact that it took Jamie Dimon that long to be like, I hate Bitcoin, I love Bitcoin. Oh shit, Bitcoin, they just pulled a Trojan horse on us. Yes, we did. Did you like how we did that? And then just the other day, What does BlackRock do? We're releasing another ETF based around Bitcoin's price action. So again, Bitcoin's not going anywhere. You need to stay the course. And again, I don't care if you have a couple $100, couple thousand, couple Bitcoin, keep stacking satoshis, because these ETFs, whether you use it or stretch or whatever Bitcoin investment vehicle you think is good for you, that's good for you right now in this second, in this moment. When the ish hits the fan again, and it will, because it always does, the people that have possession of their Bitcoin will become the owners of the fake Bitcoin. Let me repeat that again. The people that hold their keys to their Bitcoin will start to absorb these fake Bitcoin positions. And we're starting to see that right now. We're starting to see, if you pull up not only whales stacking more Bitcoin, new whales stacking Bitcoin. And why is that? Because everyone and their grandmom, from Japan to Singapore. Oh, yeah, there was another country that just announced that. Where was it? Let me pull that up and I'll send that to Nick. And I was like, oh, wow, that's not big news at all. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, there it is. So Oman has just launched their own national Bitcoin mining pool. Surprise. So again, we're in full Bitcoin hyper Bitcoinization mode, right? That's where we're at. We're in the fledgling stages where every country, every energy company, and then what do you think's next? Every citizen around the world figures out that Bitcoin is not only digital gold, it is the energy manipulator that makes the green economy work. How much is Bitcoin going to be? Somewhere between 100 million and $1 billion, right? I was the first analyst to say this. People laughed in my face until Fidelity, several years later, wrote a prospectus saying Bitcoin will hit $1 billion. And then Jerry didn't look like a crazy person anymore. But this is what's happening right now, right? Like, you have all these countries, right, figuring out the dollar's getting phased out slowly but surely. But at the same time, what's going to fill that void? Do you really think it's going to be a BRICS gold backed currency? No, I do not. And I will explain this time and time again. This has been tested. Yeah, again, this is from Daniel Batten, I believe, right? If I'm not mistaken. The pressure on grids, right? Grid stabilization. There's only a few things that can help with grid stabilization. That one is get rid of air conditioning. Don't see that happening. Two is you hook on Bitcoin ASICs to the grid, right? And this is why Texas's grid has become that much more secure and stable over the last few years. Bitcoin not only makes it easier to stabilize on the grid, but when you have Bitcoin companies come into your sector, they will point out, like, choke points, right? They're like, oh, this substation over here, nope, that ain't gonna handle it anymore, right? Oh, this, nope, you see this infrastructure, this is from the 60s, this has got to go. So these new Bitcoin miners not only come in and help with ERCOT, with grid stabilization, but they come in and they help improve with infrastructure. And again, what does AI do? It does the exact opposite. It's like me, electricity, water, power, money. Ah. And then what do you get? You get open claw. Ooh, awesome. It's great when it builds things that you want, but when you come home and it erased all your emails, oh yeah, great job. Great job. Right? Or the developmental team that did the same thing and then they came in the next day to work and the AI erased all their code base. Oh, great job. Great job. But yes, this is actually one that I was just about to send you, so I'm glad that you pulled it up. Some guy who claimed to be a technologist, said Bitcoin failed today. I was like, oh, one of these dumb clowns again. To all the boomers, again, I first off, I pray for you that you get out of this tactile mindset, that you have to touch everything. Guess what? You don't touch any of the internet, but you use it literally almost 24/7, right? It is a separate reality from this one, and you interact with it all the time, like we are right here. But Bitcoin's not real. Okay, sure. But yeah, 21 Bitcoin use cases. Batten put this out. I think it was like a week or so ago. It could be a little bit longer. I'm not sure. But this is great. Let me see. Like I said, I think I had it on in my bookmarks. Let me just see if I can pull it up so I can read along. Do 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 do. I got it right. Oh my gosh, I just had it. Give me a sec. Give me a second. Give me a second. Oh yeah, there it is. But yeah, so let's just go over. Obviously, there's a whole bunch. I'm in the article. Okay. So yeah, number one, allowing refugees to reestablish a life with their savings intact, right? You can literally either memorize your seed phrase or you put your hardware wallet in your pocket. It's on a stick drive, right? Or it's open dime or ballet or whatever. And it's in your pocket and you're taking that money with you, right? It's those UTXOs move right with you. There's no, I have to get a cashier's check or beg my bank to give me cash, right? Like, and then pray that when you're traveling to said country, they don't have all these cash extradition laws, right? Like, if you're leaving the US, if you try and leave with more than, I think it's like 4 or 5K in cash, yes, come with us, right? And most Western countries have that, from Australia to New Zealand to Europe to us to South America has very similar rules and regulations. Allowing number two, allowing hundreds of millions of people in developing nations to receive remittance payments from family without delays or without heavy fees or taxation, right? We've talked about this many times in the show. If I go to send somebody $20 in, let's say Senegal, which I've done, I don't know if they lived in Senegal, but I've sent a couple times people Bitcoin in Africa. On the Lightning Network, I sent this guy, I was like, send me an invoice. I'll send you some Bitcoin. And, send me an invoice in the next day or so, and I'll send you some Bitcoin. And first off, he sent me an invoice in like 10 minutes, by the way. This is why Africa is moving much faster than a lot of the world, because the light bulb goes off really quick for Africans when it comes to this technology. So I sent him the invoice, and he got that $20 worth of Bitcoin like in 10 seconds, right? MoneyGram, several weeks. Your bank, maybe a couple of months. And fees, right? 10% for this, 10% for that. Next thing you know, your friend's not getting $20, like, here's $3. And you're like, what? That's use case number 2. Use case number 3, preventing a 50% PA family wealth erosion for people in countries with hyperinflation. So, right, you lived in Argentina 15 years ago, right? When their money was pulling, a Weimarand move, or you lived in Rwanda when the same thing was happening. Any one of these countries where hyperinflation takes over, and how does that happen? It's because their currency is so overprinted and they don't have alternate ecosystems that use that currency. Well, then again, when the implosion happens, it's like overnight, within a few weeks. We just saw it happen again in Iran, right? Where was it 6 months ago? Their currency starts to fall in on itself. And why do you think they were relying on Tether and Bitcoin mining, right? Because they could not be stopped, right? So the ASICs mine the Bitcoin, they take the Bitcoin, they sell the Bitcoin on an exchange, they get it for Tron Tether, they send that Tron Tether to their Tron Tether wallet. Now they have hundreds of millions of dollars at their literally becking call, and they can allocate it instantly how they see fit. This is why it was very big news when they said we're going to start taking Bitcoin for the Strait of Hormuz. That should have sent a ripple through every human's brain. Wait a second, the Iranians, and of course it sent mixed messages. Unfortunately, the smart people in the world go, wait a second, they're asking for Bitcoin. That means Bitcoin's going to be important. The not so intelligent people, oh, they're a bad, evil country and they're asking for bad, evil money. Yeah, you're the dumb people on that. There's the line in the sand. I'm just saying. That's when you should really start be thinking like, why is Michael Saylor saving in Bitcoin? Oh, because he's not a dummy, right? When he did his analysis, everything out there, right, was losing value ad infinitum over long periods of time, where Bitcoin did the exact opposite. And this is why, and yeah, this is your article, right? If I'm not mistaken, Nick, I believe so. Highly recommend it, but this is exactly what Bitcoin is doing, right? It is becoming the energy transformer, right, of the world, right? Where these small projects in Africa become unprofitable, Bitcoin makes them profitable. These massive wind farms in West Texas that T. Boone Pickens made money on for years, he loses money too when they're spinning like mad, right? And nobody needs the juice. Why do you think Mara has moved in? Why do you think Canaan is moving in? Because they see dollar signs. Um, yeah. Again, let's be very clear. Iran has been ahead of this curve, right? They've been secretly mining Bitcoin for like what, 4 to 6 years, and using this as I call it, the Bitcoin slide, right? They take their Bitcoin, they see a top, they sell it, it goes down, they mine some more. Well, this is what Saylor did technically, right? He bought all this Bitcoin, he sold a teeny bit, it goes down, and then he scoops some up at a cheaper price and he buys more Bitcoin than he had when he sold the 32, right? Oh, and who was right? Oh, yeah, because even Saylor was like 32 with a big question mark. Like, come on, 32? It was just to show the markets that he could liquidate Bitcoin anytime he wants. And then 2 days later, he buys 1,000 Bitcoin. Like, all right, are you paying attention? He was trying to scare the dumb people and show the smart people it is liquid, right? It is a liquid asset. Let's get into some more articles that I have. But yeah, highly recommend Nick's article, highly recommend the Daniel Batten article as well. Let's see. Oh, this one from Ricardo Salinas, one of Mexico's top billionaires. I'm going to send this to Nick right now. It's only like a minute long, but this is here's a billionaire telling you why you should stack sats and not cents. Okay, I guess we're having a little issue there. Let me see.
And the central bank just does click and makes money.
All right.
This is ridiculous.
Here, restart that clip, and I will play my clip simultaneously and put it near the microphone.
We have to get rid of the government.
1, 2, 3.
Because they're not about to recognize that that crypto is a way out, you know. And fiat is a fraud in Mexico, in the US, in Canada, in Colombia, in the Congo, and everywhere. Because it's always the same thing. The central bank fabricates money. And how is it that you and me, we got to work our ass off to get some money, and the central bank just does click and makes money? I mean, this is ridiculous. How is it possible that people are taking in like this? And it's not the U.S. problem; it's a world problem. Every country has a central bank, and if they don't have a central bank like El Salvador or Panama, they depend on the U.S. central bank. So we're all victims of money debasement. Legend on the field.
And again, here's a billionaire telling you fiat money is a scam, right? Like this guy is literally telling you the secret out loud, right? He's not trying to hide it anymore. And this is exactly what I just said, right? JP Morgan and the dummies in the banking community, because the investment community, they're the smart people. The banksters, they just, you know, they're not stupid, but they're not as forward thinking as the investment class, right? The banksters, they saw Bitcoin, they thought they could co-opt it, right? And now they're like, oh crap, it was a trap. Yes, it was a trap. We got you to take in the Bitcoin. And now you're trying to rehypothecate that Bitcoin, right? You're selling all this paper wrapped Bitcoin product. And that's the danger, right? One of our first episodes of the show was explaining how all of this could make you money. Don't get me wrong. You might make profits with MicroStrategy, with Stretch, with iBit, with one of these ETFs. But the next time that the markets, let's say it's 2030, 2032, whatever, they do one of these moves, all of those paper assets get erased first. This is a fact, right? We all know this. And if you're holding those assets, when that happens, you're out right now. Yeah, you might go through some kind of restructuring, and they might call in the lawyers like they did for the Celsius people and they did for the other ones that went down. But you don't know when you're going to recoup any of those funds. It could be years, and you might get 20, maybe 40% back. You might barely get 30% back, but you're not going to get 100% back, right? Because I didn't get 100% back. I got like, I think 30% back, barely. And that's why I'm so adamant about people owning their keys to their Bitcoin, owning the keys to their Litecoin, owning their keys to their proof of work crypto and staying away from these proof of stake cryptos, because the proof of stake models, right, they are the fiat model. Let's be very clear. Proof of work models are the gold standard models, right? So this is why, I say time and time again, all these countries think they're going to build some type of gold-backed currency, cryptocurrency. You're not the first country to try this, right? You won't be the last country to try this. And every time it's tried, it goes swimmingly well for like short term. And then as soon as we get into a couple of years, well, guess what? We're tracking all this gold now. And the people that own gold, who are behind the scenes of that gold crypto, they don't want you to know how much gold there is, right? So it's kind of counterintuitive to the whole gold myth, right? That gold is finite. No, gold is not finite. Gold is not even scarce. Gold is manipulated like diamonds, and it's manipulated like oil. Bitcoin's the only asset that cannot be manipulated. They're trying super duper hard with these ETFs to destroy Bitcoin right now, right? They tried to inflate it, right? I said they would try and ramp it up as much as they could, and they did. They got it to 120. And now they're trying all they can to get it below like 60K. And even Michael Saylor doing it in broad daylight, right? Selling 32 Bitcoin to show the world what would happen. And what happened? People panicked. People panicked over a 32 coin sale when thousands of coins get bought and sold and recycled back into the ecosystem every few hours, right? And the fact that the markets reacted like that, it tells me a lot, right? It tells me that A, people are not paying attention. B, that Michael Saylor learned a valuable lesson, right? That, ooh, I can just play the Bitcoin slide game. I can sell a little Bitcoin, scare the markets, it'll drop the price, and I can scoop some more up at a cheaper price point, right? And that works, right? If you have enough money, you can do that. Or if you're a mining operation and it's a massive mining operation, you can dump some on the markets. But we're not seeing much of that, right? We are not. We're just not. We're seeing the majority of the long-term hodlers stick with their position, right? And build on that position, whether it's, like I said, whether it's hundreds of dollars more, thousands of dollars more, millions of dollars more, people are building up that position because another big reason is, let's just go outside of just the markets imploding because of too much leverage or shenanigans. Let's just go with AWS goes down, right? Like, I don't know how many times I've got to get on this horse, right? And then ride the horse to the top of the mountain and stand on the horse and scream as loud as I can. The Web 2.0 is dying. Let me repeat that. The Web 2.0 is in its death throes right before our eyes. Article just came out 2 days ago. More bots on the Web 2.0 than humans. So the dead net is upon us. What fixes that? Encryption and Bitcoin. That's what fixes that. Full stop. So you saving in zeros and ones with Bank of America or Santander or HSBC, it's not a smart move, right? Those servers go offline, zeros across the board for everyone. It just happened, like, right? It just literally just happened. Go ask Iran how their internet is right now. Just go ask Russia how their internet is. They got the FSB slowing down their own citizens' internet to control the flow of information. Bitcoin fixes this. I don't know how many times I have to say this, right? They keep wanting to do update. New AI, faster, stronger, better. Yeah. Bitcoin shoots all of that down, right? It slows down the update syndrome. It puts AI in check, right? Because of encryption. If we start encrypting all vital data, right, whether it's banking info, health information, government secrets, uh, DARPA research, whatever the case may be, all of that needs to be encrypted, and right? And that guy just built an RSA encryption tool for Bitcoin to do that with anything. I would have put some kind of lightning payment gateway in the middle and taken a few. I'm sure that's the case. I haven't explored the tool itself. But this is where we're at, right? The Web 2 is dying right before our eyes. 90% of the world has no clue. And the power and bandwidth issue is an issue, right? I don't know how many times I keep saying this. China and the United States keep building these AI mega centers, and they keep sucking up power and bandwidth by the second. Not an exaggeration. Bitcoin does the opposite. It wants to eat away wasted energy and give you money for that crap that nobody wanted to give you money for before, right? Whether it's that new facility that they're building, I think in Brazil, to get rid of the sugarcane waste that's left over, to coal slag from that mining facility in Pennsylvania, to, I said this just the other day, I came up this, and this is just my, someone's going to figure out how to recycle spent rods, right? And figure out how to mine Bitcoin off that. Let me repeat that. Somebody's going to figure out how to recycle old uranium rods and mine Bitcoin with it. And guess what? That's good. Do you know where the European Atomic Energy Agency puts their wasted rods? In this field. Yeah, Google that crap. You're going to be like, what the F? Yeah, I'm not kidding. It's like this facility on the edge of Eastern Europe and Russia, and literally, if you're just some cuckoo crazy puff person, you could just walk in there with some night goggles, cross some fences, and, obviously I would recommend some lead everything, but you could just throw some into a lead container and out you go. Not kidding. But yes, I think somebody's going to figure out how to use wasted plutonium energy. And when that happens, OMG. The place where, wait, I wanted to read this. Sorry, I didn't get to read the title. In a few years, Finland will be the place where no humans will tread for 100,000 years. Oh, this is their idea to store it, right? Let me guess. Oh, yeah, that's great. We're just going to bury it and pray some people in the future don't unbury it and kill everyone. Great idea. Not a great idea, Finland. Just saying. Maybe you should take my idea and earn some money, and then maybe not cross-contaminate Earth in 50,000 years because some dummies had some power tools and were like, ooh, what's this? Ooh, these were definitely used by ancient civilization for something. And as they're looking at it, they're like literally getting radioactive poisoning. But yes, I don't agree with that plan just because, again, we don't know what the future is going to look like, right? We don't know if people are going to be more advanced, less advanced. We hope they're more advanced. But again, languages could change to a certain level where you trying to say danger to this big buried depository of spent rods, again, it might just be some archaeologist from the future, and he's like, it's the biggest discovery of his life, right? Anyway, the point of that discussion was somebody's going to figure out how to take spent rods and convert them into Bitcoin. And on that day, one of my other predictions will become true. Just how it works. But yes, this is the future of Bitcoin and energy and money, right? It's not just a monetary network. It is an energy manipulation network. And Saudi Aramco has figured this out. Oman has figured this out. China knows this. They're not idiots. Japan, right? They just said, we're going to start mining it. They did that a couple of years ago with TEPCO. Africa, South America, Paraguay, El Salvador. The list is endless of countries who are fully aware that this is not a scam. It is not a Ponzi. It takes abundant energy and wasted energy and converts it into the hardest asset ever discovered / invented in the history of human civilization. Bitcoin improves human civilization top down and bottom up. AI, I just don't see the need for it as much as people do. Like I said, I believe it's an amazing cybersecurity tool. I believe it will help people write amazing essays and amazing articles and be an amazing editor for those articles. I believe it will help coders program the most amazing applications that will ever come out. However, it's not God, right? And Bitcoin's not God either, right? Always remember that. But Bitcoin, in my opinion, was sent by God. AI was not sent by God. And that's a whole nother discussion. We'll save for another time. Like I said, I'm trying to work on writing an article about my theory that Bitcoin was sent by our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I know people have called me crazy for saying this, but I was watching a documentary several years back. I think it was like 2020 or 2021. And
that is why it's more.
and sorry. That was my phone just acting up. But I was watching this documentary on Leonardo da Vinci because, obviously somebody has a degree in political science. I have a minor in history and US history, but as somebody who has a minor in history, I am a history buff. So I watched his Leonardo da Vinci documentary, and I was just like glued to it. It was only like like an hour and 5 or 10 minutes, but like in the middle of the documentary, right? They pull up this journal from the Vatican Library, right? And they just flash one of these quotes. And I was like, I paused it. And as soon as I paused it and read the quote, I was like, that's Bitcoin. How did Leonardo da Vinci know about Bitcoin 500 years almost before Bitcoin was invented / discovered? Oh, because he was connected with God, right? But let me just read you the quote, and then we'll wrap for the show. But again, when you hear the quote, it's undeniable, right? It's unmistakable. There's no two ways about it. He's specifically talking about Bitcoin almost 500 years ago. But here's the quote. Invisible coins will lead to the triumph of many who spend them. Leonardo da Vinci. Yeah. So that's not like some meme I made up, because when I share that, there's a lot of people that don't like it because they think like, oh, it's AI, or Jerry just went, and did a meme generator and put Leonardo da Vinci. Like, no, Leonardo da Vinci wrote this 500 years ago. I had nothing to do with this. This isn't BS. This isn't a scam. And you can go ask any AI and they'll tell you this is a lie. And the only reason why they say that this is a lie is because they don't have access to that journal from the Vatican library. They only have access to their LLM that they've been given, right? If that data set is the Odyssey, then they know everything about the Odyssey. Well, if they don't have that journal from the Vatican, well, they're like, that doesn't exist. And I was like, no, this is a real statement from Leonardo da Vinci. And how could he know about invisible coins from the future, right? Like, anyway, thank you for hanging out. Thank you to Nick. I hope you're feeling better, bro. We're going to thank all our sponsors, Quantum Expeditions, Shieldfolio, Deorganized Media, and the whole family at Bitcoin Live. And yeah, please and thank you. Stack sats, not cents. Peace.